Whoa. Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Welcome back to PM in the AM, a comedy podcast for listeners of all ages. This show contains the kind of humor to make you laugh out loud no matter where you're listening. Join us each week as we take a dive into some of the funniest questions, debates, purchasable items, and news stories found on the internet. I am Porter McNeely, joined as always by co-host Blake Bushman. Blake, how are you doing this week?
I'm great. What was with the beatbox at the beginning there? What was that? What was that? What?
No,
You
I
said
so
what? Wait.
it was a fake cough. I tried to hit you with the fake
uh,
cough into the intro. I thought
to
that
be
would be
fair,
pretty
that is
sweet.
what I thought it was at first. I thought you were coughing, but then you started, and I was like, was he trying to lay down a sick beat or something? But
No, after
it,
last week, I got a little creative with it last week and I stretched out the W. I thought, maybe we'll make this a thing. I'll just try to find some new creative way every week. So I was like thinking about it this week. I was like, I guess I could do like a little fake cough into it. I don't know if I sold it well enough if you thought I was trying to beatbox because that would have been a complete failure. But
well, now you know what you're gonna do next week. You got to just beatbox your way through the wakey eggs and bakey.
I better start practicing now. That would be kind of a wild idea. So we'll see what happens going forward. But as we get into this week's show, we wanted to start off with one of those insane news stories that we talked about in the intro. We got this one sent in to us, and it's actually local here to the state where we live, which is Utah. It's been kind of around national news, so you may have heard of it. But if not, Blake, this story is going to blow your mind. So anyway, there's a lady that lives in kind of a small Utah community, and her husband died a year ago. And so, they said that he had like overdosed on something and passed away in his sleep. And during that 1 year span, she had put on the show, and all this is allegedly. Obviously, I don't think she has been um, gone through trial yet or whatever. So allegedly,
Yeah, one thing's for
during
sure, we're not going to end up on the jury after this. I mean, we're making ourselves known, so this is good.
Yeah, thank heavens. That's a good point. But anyway, so during the year, she actually came out and published a book about how to go through grief and about her husband still being close to her. Well, Blake, turns out that after a year, they've been able to do some more of those DNA tests and run the evidence and stuff. And they found out that she actually killed her husband by poisoning him.
That is insane. I can't, and the fact that this is here local, because I feel like half the time you hear these stories and they're in Florida. I just can't believe that this. So this was like a year ago that this all happened, right? And now
Yeah.
recently it's coming out that
Hmm.
man, because
Yeah.
I've heard about the story, and I think you know more about it than I do. But the fact that she wrote a book about grieving to, I think it was really to help her kids, right? Is kind of what it was, like a children's book almost about like losing a loved one. I
Mm.
mean, that is just a slap in the face to everything.
I know. I can't even imagine, what the family of the guy that was murdered is thinking, seeing the book. And actually, before he died, he was suspecting something suspicious going on. He was starting to feel like his wife was going to kill him. And he actually told his family, if anything happens to me, it was her. And so, I,
Wow.
I mean, I can only imagine them then, seeing the book come out and everything that was going along with that. And then they kind of knew all along, I'm guessing. And so, wow, like that's just insane
Do you think?
story.
Do you think for this last year that she released the book and whatever else happened, and they obviously, I assume, would have their suspicions that she was involved in some way because of what he had told them. Do you think that they are one of the big reasons why this is coming out now, that she supposedly had more to do with it than what was initially believed? Or do you think that it
From
was something that has just taken this long to uncover it in
Yeah, so
general?
from my understanding, it's, if you listen to like the true crime podcasts or watch like the Dateline NBC, they do like the DNA tests in different sequences. And so as they test the DNA, some of those take longer time to get the results back. I don't
Man,
know
it takes
why
that
that is,
long?
or
That's insane.
but somehow they found out that he had like 4 times a dose of whatever the poison was that was like too strong, and that he was like poisoned and killed. And so I think it was just that the DNA takes too long, but I'm sure, the family was probably like, let's look into this a little bit more because he literally told us 2 weeks before. But the
Yeah,
fact,
if somebody comes out and says, "Hey, I think this person's gonna try to kill me," and then they end up dead, that's usually not a great sign.
oh yeah, but I feel like it happens more often than not, in the true crime podcasts, the people are like, I think something bad is going to happen. And, people around him are just like, oh, it's okay, whatever. Like, I guess in his situation, he still wanted to be a good dad to his children, so he didn't want to leave them, even though, she had apparently attempted to poison him before with a sandwich and different things. And so it's just, definitely a red flag. And the fact to me is she is just such a villain because she wrote a book. Like, how,
Yeah,
how would you
coming off as the
actively,
hero of the story is
yeah.
insane to me.
Oh my,
Like
you,
the fact that you do it and then you write a whole book about grief, and hopefully the only good thing that could come out of this is if that book was able to help somebody. But I have a hard time believing that the content of the book was very good, considering the fact that I don't know how much grief she was in. If she was the one that was, slipping in pills or whatever it was that ended up overdosing on. I just can't believe that. That's insane.
it is so hard to believe. People probably like posted that saying like, "Oh, buy a copy, help out this family that's in need." And really, she probably was making off with all the insurance money and whatever goes with that. So that's just a crazy story. I couldn't believe that happened. I thought we had to bring that up as, we are such a valiant source of news. We had to make sure that the people heard about how crazy this story was, and I
Yeah,
had
we
to get
do
your take
not
on it.
recommend you buy this book, by the way. I
No.
can't. This will not make it on Blake's Buys. This is not an endorsement.
Jeez, I hope she writes a sequel in prison about like how to
Ooh.
serve jail time.
How to grieve with being caught from murder.
How to
Is it
grieve
okay?
behind bars.
This is something really common, and I think that it's like the psychological thing of, the serial killer always wants to be close to the case, or the murderer always wants to be involved with the, detective work or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Because and writing a book seems to be really common because I'm pretty sure not all that long ago it came out that the lady that wrote How to Get Away with Murder or something like that. There's a book, and
Oh,
she ended up killing her husband.
yeah, but I mean, what I heard is that like she kind of just got addicted to her own like teachings, right? Is that actually real? And she wanted to do a field trip and see if she could actually do it.
Yeah, and I believe I've heard that she pretty much followed the book pretty closely.
So they just read the book backwards and were like, "This is exactly how we're gonna catch her."
Yeah, they started at the end and were just like, okay, what's the what happened right before this, and it led them right back to the author.
I
Yeah,
guess maybe the cops figured it out when they saw like the this method actually works stamp on the cover of the book. They're like,
yeah.
Wait a minute, something must have happened here." So what is the deal with murdering and then writing a book? I mean,
Yeah, it's got to be some psychological thing. I would never personally. I'm pretty convinced I could get away with murder if I really wanted to. I mean, really, you just have to murder somebody you don't know, and then you can probably get away with it. Again, not an endorsement to go out and murder somebody. This is not the not the goal. But I feel like if I did it, you can't write a book to try and I think she actually wrote the book before she murdered her husband, and then this one she wrote it after. So maybe they can team up in prison and really just put out a
oh my
banger.
god. It's like co-authors and they're just writing this book together. No, that is horrible. We definitely hope that that doesn't happen and yeah, definitely just crazy circumstances that we wanted to share that story because it was just unbelievable. But we're going to get into the rest of the show that we have coming up today. So we have the situational awareness segment where Blake is going to be breaking down a situation that I give it to him, and he is going to be
Ooh.
giving me some much needed life advice on this topic. And then we're going to be getting into another morning drive debate where we are going to be doing the worst, most cringy pet nicknames, whatever you're going to call, your spouse, your significant other.
Yeah,
We're
these
going
are
to be
not pet
breaking
names for
down.
your dog. Pet name for your...
Although that might be kind of fun too.
in the future. We'll have
But
to hit that one.
But yeah, these are like pet names. I don't know. I feel like, is there another way to say that?
I think pet names for your significant other is probably the best way to describe it. I think that covers all bases because I don't think nicknames. You don't really say nicknames about your. You could have a nickname, but it's not necessarily falls into that category. So, anyways, I think that that covers it.
Yeah, but it's like pretty bizarre that it's called pet,
Yeah,
on your
I
significant
don't
other.
know
Like,
why. I don't know
it
where that
seems
came
like
from.
it
We're gonna have to
shouldn't be
look
that
up
way.
the history of the term pet names and see where that came from. It was actually just some guy who was really in love with his dog.
And he just started using the same
Yeah,
names on his
they're
wife.
like, man, that guy loves his dog. He's
It's just, yeah, you don't spoil the names we're going to be using because that's going to be coming up a little later, Blake. But I need to get your advice on something. So I've been going through a little situation. So I'm going to just explain this a little bit better. So, I'm a FedEx delivery driver, and we've been over that numerous times before. And so there's like a secret code on the roads that delivery drivers share amongst each other.
oh,
And I'm gonna,
I'm getting the
take
inside
you guys,
scoop.
take you guys behind the curtain and share this to you. So, I mean, sometimes people probably think like UPS, FedEx, like we're gonna hate each other. USPS, that's not true. And generally, as we're driving past each other, we're gonna throw up a nice wave, ask, just peace
This
up,
is
give them a
this is
peace sign,
really
or
disappointing to hear. By the way, I was really hoping this was going to be about delivery wars. So I'll let you
no,
continue, but I'm
no.
disappointed.
How's there's no competition because we're all just out there doing the same thing, except Amazon drivers for some reason. And this doesn't even involve Amazon drivers, but I'm just gonna, since I took you behind the curtain,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna
throw them
give you
under
the
the
full
bus
thing.
or throw them under the delivery truck. I guess.
I don't know why, but they never waved, so I never waved to them. But anyway, the advice I need is, so me and the mailman on my route, we'd become homies over the last several months. We always wave at each other. Occasionally, we have a delivery at the same house at the same time, or he's at the mailbox, and we'd been, saying what's up in passing and stuff. This week, I don't know what happened. I don't know if he's just down or he's mad at me, but he has just been giving me the cold shoulder, Blake. I need your advice on what I should do.
You're getting ghosted by the mailman that's not even
Yeah, dude.
your own mailman.
I drove by him twice today. First time I threw him up a peace sign, and second time I gave him the old head, head nod to say kind of what's up, and nothing. He just looked at me both times. I don't know what happened. We were homies, and now I must have done something, or he's just having a bad day. What do I do, Blake?
You got to give him a special delivery just for him. If you ever are just if you're able to time it just right, where you're at the same house, I want you to just run into his truck and just leave the biggest box that was in yours. Just say that it didn't make it. The other person, Amazon will take care of it or whatever, wherever it's coming from, and it'll be fine because. Really, it's friendship that matters the most. And so you give him, and it's probably going to be something dumb like
Trampoline.
oh, that would be sweet. What are you talking about? I was thinking like an egg carton, like those plastic egg holder things. Like you don't know those what I'm
That's
talking about?
definitely not the biggest box. Not even close.
It depends on how many you order. What is the biggest box
I
that
don't
you
know, but
usually get?
it goes up to 150 pounds. So I mean, probably like the biggest box would probably be like
150-pound
recliners.
dumbbell. Oh, okay.
Oh no, dude! People do order like the home gyms. Oh yeah, just give him a home gym. No, that would be a
You
slap
give
to the
him
face.
yeah,
He's
if you can't give him a home gym, because then he's like, wow, I was already mad at this guy. Now he's calling me fat.
and then I would get fired for losing the package. So that would be the triple worst thing possible. Your advice is failing today, Blake.
No, I think it would work great first because you want to leave an impression on him. That's you want to let him know that you are a giving contributor to this relationship because I think he obviously, I think what happened is one day you cut him off or something. He needed to get somewhere and you were just trying to do a delivery. It wasn't out of hard feelings, but you cut him off and now you just got to really extend out and give him that uh I can't
Hand
think
of
of a single
friendship.
package right now.
Oh,
The package of friendship, yeah. And then you gotta set it in the truck and just give him a little wink and like special delivery and just hit him with the finger guns and walk
finger
away.
gun. Oh, I think you know aside the terrible idea of stealing from the truck and putting it in his truck, maybe tomorrow I'll just hit him with the finger guns. Maybe that's what I've been missing. I'm just like boom, boom, boom. Maybe that'll get him.
The finger guns always work. I mean, if you want to get out of a bad situation, no bad situation is made worse with finger guns. Okay, you'd be like, "All right, guys, I am heading out of here." You throw up finger guns, and everybody's like, "All right, that was weird," and you're gone. By the time they really come to a realization of what happened, you're already down the street. All right, and if you want to join a conversation, what's up, guys? The finger guns never fail. Entering, leaving, finger guns have your back, and I think that probably is a good solution for you if you don't want to leave a package for them, which is still an option.
No, I think you, in a roundabout way, you worked through the terrible ideas to get to the good advice. And so,
I haven't found a single terrible idea that I've given. There's big companies that are behind they'll redeliver the box. It'll be fine. You'll be there tomorrow with the same exact box. You'll leave it on the porch. Nobody will be any the wiser. It'll be all right.
all right, so I'll have to give you an update on how the finger gun situation goes. Thanks for that advice, Blake. If you guys have a question that you want Blake's situational awareness shed some light upon that situation, DM it to us on Instagram or email it to us. It's at PM in the AM podcast, and he'll be happy to guide you through your problems.
I had another idea.
Oh
You
no!
know how it's a courteous thing to do to open the door for somebody?
Mm-hmm.
You're going into a Taco Bell. You open the door so the person behind you gets in. Have you considered opening the mailbox door for him?
Just opening a
I
mailbox.
think that's like the same thing for mailmen. It's like the courteous. You're showing your. I don't know if it's chivalry when it's for a random stranger, but whatever it is, out of the kindness of your heart, you just stand there, open him up, let him throw the mail in. I look at this. Another idea. Send them in, guys. I'm full of ideas. It might take me a minute to get there, but that's a top 3 all-time idea for sure.
That'd be pretty funny for the people that don't have lock boxes and have mailboxes. You see the mailman come up to your house and you just like run out there, open the door, and then just like stand there and wait while he's like sorting through the mail and putting it into your mailbox. So, yeah, number one, you make his job worse by making it awkward by staring at him while he's doing his job.
And then you hit him with
And
the finger guns.
and then you hit him with the finger guns. Thanks, man. Thanks for the bills.
There you
I'm out of
go.
here. Yeah, that is an elite tip to probably end up on some list of like crazy people, or to probably just have your mail shredded by the mail person on the truck so they don't have to come to your house. So probably wouldn't recommend that one either. But if you need your advice from this podcast, make sure to DM it to us and we'll be happy to answer it. Blake, we've got a great bracket coming up after a little break here. We will be right back.
With warmer temperatures approaching, there is no better way to cool off than with some authentic Brazilian acai from Barraca Acai. I lived in Brazil for 2 years and I fell in love with acai, but when I came back to the US, I was pretty disappointed with the quality of the options here. That is until I found Barraca Acai, which tastes exactly like what they serve in Brazil, because that's exactly what it is. Imported from Brazil and delivered to your doorstep, it is the best treat for summer months. Whether you want it as a healthier alternative to ice cream, or covered in sweetened condensed milk like I do, acai is a superfood that is super delicious. If you're interested, visit their Instagram at Bahaka Acai. That's BAHAKAACAI. And send them a DM and let them know that PM in the AM sent you.
And we are back. For those just listening to the podcast, not actually checking out the video over on YouTube at PM in the AM podcast, you missed my finger gun intro. I couldn't leave it in the past, even though we just talked about it 40,000 times in the last segment. It's just so awesome. But anyway, we have a great morning drive debate segment where we are going to be making a bracket. And this week we have the pet nicknames for your spouse, significant other. These are the overly gushy, sweet, whatever
Cheesy,
you want to say.
corny,
Yeah, cheesy.
whatever.
You hear one of these in public and you just kind of look down upon that couple because, it's just so embarrassing that like, why would you do it? But, probably like in your own house or whatever, you're probably flinging around some of these nicknames. So everybody kind of does it, but
I do have. Okay, before we get into it, and if it's something that you have written down on your list,
Uh-huh.
then you don't have to share it. But do you have like a cheesy nickname for your wife? Because I have one. I don't use it all the time. It's very rare, but
Uh-huh.
it's fantastic every time I do.
I know I do. I used to call her Beb, like Behb,
Beb. All right.
Beb, and then I'd call her Bebbers sometimes. And
Wow. That's
that's real original. And you're probably at home making fun of that right now. And guess what? I don't care. Just like you might not care about how we're about to absolutely destroy these nicknames. So what's the one that you have, Blake?
so. My wife's name is Brinley, and I call her Bryn like 99% of the time. And every now and then, I'll let it come out as brine shrimp because
Uh,
she's short. Her name's Bryn. It kind of just flows together. So it's not an all the time thing, but every now and then, just to catch her off guard, I'll hit her with the brine shrimp, and I love it. I don't know how she feels about it, but
well, that one doesn't sound like, like some of these mushy gushy,
no,
cringy
it's
ones.
not.
That one
It's
just
not.
sounds
It's
rude.
yeah. It's
That
really
sounds like you're
make
trying to demean your
it's a
wife.
term of endearment. Oh, hey, is
Oh.
that what the word we're looking for instead of pet name? Term of endearment,
Oh, yeah.
whatever it
Term
is.
of endearment, yeah.
Um, it's a term of endearment, and she's short. It kind of matches her name, so I love it. But
So you can get away with it even though it's rude.
right, yep, yeah, yeah, and it's way better than anything I have written down. That's for sure. So
Well, I actually just thought of a good one. I got to before you go with your number one pick.
okay,
So my wife's name is Whitney, and her number one nickname is Wheat. And so, I don't know why, but sometimes I call her Wheater Totter.
I love that. That's fantastic. Oh, that's good. Brine Shrimp and Weeder Totter. That's, I mean, those are top tier nicknames. That's great.
I
All
know we're gonna
right.
get in trouble. We're gonna get in so much
Oh,
trouble
yeah,
for
I
sharing
know.
those. I mean,
Yeah, we are for sure.
prepare to see the lashings on our back for next week's podcast. We better just get into it, Blake. What do you have at
Yeah.
the number one overall pick?
You know what? I don't know if there's really a favorite in this. I don't have one that I think is head and shoulders above the rest, but I'm going to take a classic in Schnookums.
Ah, Schnookums. That's
Yeah.
terrible. If you hear anybody being called that, you just run the other way because those people are crazy. That's
Yeah.
such a weird name.
Yeah.
How did
And
that come around?
half of these I'm imagining are going to be said in kind of like the baby voice too, which just
Mm-hmm.
makes everything
Mm-hmm.
so much worse. It's, "Hey, Schnookums." Oh my, it just makes me cringe to my core even trying to do that while we were recording. So
I know.
yeah, Schnookums is a bad one.
What I imagine when I hear all these names is, there's a guy on one side of the grocery store aisle and the wife's on the other. She grabs the thing that she wants while he's like trying to decide if he's going to be allowed to get a bag of chips. And then all of a sudden you hear, Schnookums, it's time to go. And then he just immediately walks over and leaves because he's on his leash. So I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
that's a bad picture, but
Doing
Schnookums
these
is,
in
is pretty
public
good.
is just, yeah, I mean, that's menace. That's
Yeah, that's exactly why we had to do this bracket. But
all right.
all right, so I am torn here because these are all just, kind of the same level. But with the second overall pick, I'm going to take kind of a similar sounding one, and I'm going to go with Schmoopy.
Schmoopy. Yeah. Isn't that from like a movie or a TV show or something? I'm pretty sure it's from
No
Seinfeld.
idea. Yeah,
Actually,
I think
is where
maybe.
that started. I've never watched all of Seinfeld, so I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that is, and it is awful. It's right up there with Schnookums for sure.
That sounds like something you would say to a baby. Absolutely, Schmoopy. Yeah.
Schmoopy
So.
whoopy. Yeah, that's
Yeah, exactly. You have to talk like a baby to say that one. So that's why I'm going to be taking that at number two.
yeah. And I am actually going to come in with one again, super similar, and it is from a movie, and that is Schmootsy Poo.
What movie is that?
Uh, Monsters Inc. it's
Oh, true.
it's Mike Wazowski and his lady friend have nicknames for each other, and Schmootsy
Yeah, but
Poo is what he calls her.
now that you say that, I'm totally remembering that. And why did like the word poo, which is normally so disgusting, you're thinking of number two. Why did that become a word that can be used like endearing
After
and
all of these, yeah, you could put poo after everything we've said, and for some reason, it just is like, no, it's weird. There's another word that gets put after, and I want to know the origins of the language that caused it to be this way. But yeah, schmootsy poo is a bad one.
Next time I take a nice dump, I'm gonna be like, I just took a smootsy poo.
That is how I will be referring to a number two from now on. Sorry guys, I'll be right back. Got to go take a schmootsy poo.
They're like, does this guy know what he's saying? Does this guy have any idea what he's
It's
talking about? He
it
just sounds
sounds
crazy.
it sounds like you have to go to the bathroom, but only a little bit. Like,
It sounds like your poop's gonna come out with a bow on it.
oh man, yeah. Oh.
Okay. All right. I gotta regroup a little bit here. Okay. So with the number 4 pick, I am going to take one that just, if you saw somebody being called this in public, it would make them and their whole relationship look stupid, and that is cutie patootie.
Oh yeah, Cutie Patootie all time classic. That's up there for sure.
That's awful. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would never want to be called that. So
yeah.
Blake, don't you dare call me a cutie patootie.
Forty, you're such a cutie patootie. Cutie patootie is the perfect thing to call your friends when you want to just give a slight jab at them. Like, let's say they dressed up a little nice to go out somewhere. Like you're going out on a double date night or something. They show up, they got like a button up shirt on or something. You hit them with the old cutie patootie. That's the perfect way to just give a nice little jab at your friend.
But even before you like hit them with the cutie patootie, you go, man, where did you get that shirt? That's pretty nice. And they're like, oh, I got it on sale at Ross. You
Well, it
feeling good about
looks
yourself.
great on you, you cutie
You cutie
patootie.
patootie. Instant wreck.
Yeah,
That is an
that's.
instant way to wreck their self
I
esteem.
will be using that one on you the next time I see.
And it will probably work.
All right, I'm going to take one here that is, and it's kind of on a different vein of this, but I just hate it when people use it, and it's usually in writing more than it is like you say it out loud. But that's just hubby.
Mm,
I can't stand it when somebody calls our husband hubby. First of all, it's the same amount of syllables as husband, so you're not shortening it at all. All right, like, so if that's what you're going at, and then it feels weird. It feels like a child. I can't even describe it. It just makes me uncomfortable. So
no, I agree. I've always kind of thought that one was a little strange too, because you don't just call somebody, you're not like, hey, husband. Like, people just don't do that. So
yeah, like
the fact that
my
it turned into,
my hubby bought me flowers today.
uh-huh.
Like, just say his name. Just say the guy's name. All right, my hubby. Get out of here with that nonsense.
No, that's definitely like top tier cheesy.
Oh
And
yeah,
so
I hate it.
good pick there. I overlooked that one, but yeah, that one can be super annoying. So that was a really good pick here. Okay, holy cow. I gotta try and I've gone with a couple of powerhouse picks, and there's still a few more. And these ones again, like I'm imagining overhearing somebody in public say these to each other and just the absolute cringe that I would get from it. And so I think I am going to have to take sexy pants with my next pick.
All right, yeah. Sexy pants is I didn't have that written down, but if I heard somebody say that in public, that would definitely cause me. I could be walking past it. If you said that, I'd freeze, just like, did I just hear what I just?
Exactly. That's a showstopper. You're not gonna be able to forget that moment because you're gonna feel so uncomfortable and so embarrassed for them.
Mm,
And there are, people that kind of just display a little bit too much of that affection and passion, outside of the home area, I guess we'll say. So I think if you're calling somebody sexy pants, that's a bad idea.
that's awful. My next one that I'm between, because this is my last one, I believe. Um, it's kind of both of the ones I'm looking at are kind of along that same line of it just makes everybody else a little uncomfortable for, and I'm gonna go with sugar lips.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
weird.
yeah.
That's super weird. As
It's
soon as you start describing a body part of your
yeah.
your
Basically, it's
significant
like,
other,
hey, this person that I like to kiss, get over here. Like, it's a weird thing to say in public, and
yeah.
like,
Even worse if they like draw them in for the kiss after, you're like, come
oh
here,
yeah,
sugar
oh
lips.
that's
Oh, that's
that's
awful.
yeah,
That's horrible.
that's rough.
I can't even imagine. I really hope, we take a risk by doing this podcast, and that risk is that our wives now know exactly what we hate being called, as well as most of our best friends. And so we are really putting ourselves in a box here, and we are, if I get called sugar lips in public and then immediately smooched, somebody smack me because I'll deserve it for bringing this upon
Oh man!
myself. But
First of all, you said that in the backwards order because you talked about our spouses and then our friends, and then you talked about getting kissed in public. And if any of your friends call you sugar lips and then go in for a kiss, you are a little bit
uh,
more friendly with some of your friends than I am.
I was, of course, referring to the affectionate French. No, no, not French kissing. No, what's
I
what's
was of
the
course referring to the affectionate French kiss with your friends.
no, what's the Europe thing where they like people always just like air kiss? They're like, mwah, mwah.
Just like
They go to both
the
sides.
greeting, like a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Have you ever had that
Not
happen
actually
to you?
kissing. Uh,
It's
yeah,
happened to
maybe when I
me
was in
on
Mexico. When I was in Mexico, I think it happened to me,
it's
and I
happened
was
to me
just
on
like
multiple
thrown
occasions,
off.
and every time it freaks me out because I'm like
Yeah,
one wrong move. If I go the wrong way, whatever it is, I'm kissing this person like unintentional, but it will happen. So it's
yeah.
awful.
I agree. That is a terrible greeting. Maybe we'll have to do a worse greetings bracket, but I do believe I have the last pick in this draft, Blake, and I'm taking one that not only is annoying, but it's also creepy, and that is baby doll.
Ah,
And
okay.
I feel like people might actually use that.
That I feel like that one is more common. A lot of these ones have been pretty like cheesy, maybe not all that popular, but I know for a fact Baby Doll is it does like thinking about calling somebody that though does give me a little bit of like
For sure. No, it's like creepy on two things because it's like baby and doll,
yeah, yeah.
Both things when you're referring to somebody else, kind of creepy.
Yeah. So that's absolutely it makes me uncomfortable even talking about it. Did you have any others that were on your list that didn't make it in?
Yeah, so I had Pookie and Muffin
Ah, Pookie. I
and
had Muffin.
Goddess.
Goddess. Is that common?
I feel like that'd be like, the guy that just like worships his wife kind of more than just loves his wife, could call her goddess maybe. I don't
What's
know.
up,
Maybe it's more just
goddess?
like it's like girls talking to girls probably just hyping each other
I
up,
imagine
but
that's like the caption underneath a post on Instagram
yeah.
is goddess. That's how I imagine
Yeah.
that. That's great.
Exactly. That's how every girl talks about like their favorite celebrity. She's such a goddess.
Yeah, that's fair. I had a Googly Bear. That's another one.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's another
I
one
can't
from
believe you did.
Monsters Inc. That I didn't want to double down on the Monsters
Mhm.
Inc. So
Yeah.
I went away from it, but it's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
I had Sweet Cheeks
Ew.
and any
What cheeks is that referring to?
both. It's
Both of your face cheeks?
all of the above. It's yeah, and that's I feel like Sweet Cheeks is often I'm imagining like the guys at a construction site and the girl goes walking by and he's like, "What's up, Sweet
Oh,
Cheeks?" Like that's what I
oh
imagine
yeah,
Sweet
yeah.
Cheeks is.
Yikes. Yeah, that deserves a jail sentence
Yeah.
of 6 to 12 months behind it.
And then really the worst of all of them, but it's not necessarily a name that we can say. And that's just when you say their name like followed by a word that rhymes. And I'm talking like you shorten it down to
Mhm.
like Porty Warty.
Oh yeah, that's horrible.
Like
That's terrible.
I can't really say that because it changes for every name, it changes for everybody. But
Blakey Snakey.
yeah, oh, that's awful. That makes me uncomfortable. Yeah, but I'm talking like that. Like so,
Yeah, that's horrible.
so just calling your significant other that isn't great. So
$100% agree.
some of these need to be banned in most countries. So hopefully we can get that started and let's get a petition going or something because I've had enough of hearing these in public.
I'm definitely on board. I think we did a good job covering a lot of these hated nicknames and pet names or whatever we terms of endearment is what we called it. So we will be posting this on our Instagram at PM in the AM podcast. We will be posting the bracket and the polls. So make sure you're checking out our stories so you can vote for which one you think is the worst. You're welcome. If you have somebody you can kind of use these against to make them uncomfortable, we just gave you a lot of ammunition to be able to use with your significant other make them uncomfortable, have a good time, whatever. And to the people that actually, use these names, maybe we're just suggesting that you change it out for something more normal.
May I suggest their name?
That one always works, and especially if you rhyme it with something weird at the end, just like Blake was mentioning. But Blake, you got anything else for the listeners on the way out today?
No, that's it. I think we
All
covered it
right.
all.
Well, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you guys next week.
Peace out.
Congrats on making it all the way to the end. We hope you enjoyed the show. You are now officially part of the PM and the AM fan base, the morning people, and we are super pumped to have you here. Now that you're a part of the crew, please share the episode with a friend, and make sure to check out the rest of our shows and social media content for more hilarious brackets, crazy questions, and an overall great time. Thanks for listening. It truly means a lot to us, and we'll catch you guys next week.